Every lesson is a lyric in the universal song. Oh, the lessons of the journey, I'll weave them in my song.
Welcome to Lessons of the Journey with Coach Jen and Coach Nicole, where we discuss the stuff we wish we would have learned in school. Today, we're diving into episode 3 of our 5 Love Languages and Beyond series. In episode 1, we explored our own love blueprints and how it affects those closest to us. Episode 2 focused on understanding your partner's love language. Today, we're taking a broader look because love isn't just for couples. It shows up everywhere, in our homes, friendships, childhood memories, and the small daily moments we often overlook. If you've ever felt unappreciated by a parent, struggled to connect with a sibling, or wondered why a close friend seemed distant, you're not alone. Often, love doesn't feel like love, especially when it's expressed in ways we don't recognize or expect. That's where love languages come in. And they're not just for romance. Every relationship has its own unique way of giving and receiving love. Parents, siblings, friends, they all have love blueprints. When these don't line up, misunderstandings, frustration, and feelings of being unseen can creep in. Learning to recognize and honor someone else's love language is the first step to bridging the gap. It's about seeing love through their eyes and appreciating it in the way it's actually expressed.
Yes, and we are going to start today with the parent-child love, sometimes the gap between giving and feeling loved with your child. Parents naturally devote tremendous energy to providing for their children: food, shelter, safety, education, and so much more. These are acts of service, and they come from a place of deep love and care. Yet despite these efforts, many parents notice their children sometimes feel distant, unappreciated, or even unloved. This doesn't mean love isn't there. It means the way love is expressed doesn't always meet the child's emotional needs or resonate as love in their unique love blueprint. For example, a parent whose love language is acts of service may express love by fixing things or managing household needs, while their child might crave words of affirmation or quality time. Without recognizing this gap, love can get lost in translation.
Yes. And gosh, with kids, they can't even tell you. They don't even have the words. They don't have a fully developed brain. So it's up to us.
Yes.
We have to decipher our kids' love language early. And we're going to give you some age-appropriate examples. You can start tuning into your child's love language very early, even in infancy, by paying attention to their reactions and preferences. Notice what naturally brings them comfort, joy, or engagement. So the love language, physical touch. You might notice this in infants and toddlers when they really prefer cuddling, rocking, holding hands. In the preschool, elementary years, maybe it's just more hugs, sitting close, also holding hands. And then the tweens and the teens, respecting boundaries, but offering reassuring touch when it's welcomed. And that's a whole separate thing. Noticing when it's welcomed. You're like, come here, I love you, my baby. And they're like, ew, mom, or like the tween, the side hug. But if they're inviting the side hug, give them the side hug. For the love language, quality time. So in your infants and toddlers, this could be focused play or cuddling without distractions. My kids call me on this all the time. Mom, your phone. Oh yeah, sorry. They think I'm playing games all the time, but I'm working from my phone. I have to remember, put the phone down. That's okay. Preschool, elementary age. They would like for quality time, one-on-one interactions, cooking in the kitchen, nature walks outside, something where the two of you are doing something together. And then for tweens and teens, maybe it's sitting down and sharing a meal together, having a meaningful conversation, usually about something that they're interested in, and respecting their space while making time. Words of affirmation. Does your child respond warmly to praise or encouraging words? Infants and toddlers, it could be a gentle praise, like you're doing great, or I love seeing you try so hard, or singing lullabies with loving words. In preschool, elementary, it could be writing little notes for their lunchboxes or praising effort. Science says we're supposed to praise effort, not outcome. So let's work on that, y'all. And encouraging with specific compliments. Hey, I saw how hard you worked on that science project. You did a great job. I'm really proud of you. Those are very specific compliments. Maybe in a teen tween, it could be a sincere verbal encouragement or an affirming text if your teen has a phone, or just acknowledging growth that you've witnessed over time. Acts of service. So does your child feel comfortable when you do something helpful for them? In an infant toddler stage, it might be attending to their needs promptly, not the hang on, hold on, I'm busy, or routines that create security. Science does tell us that kids really do need routine. So if you notice that they thrive inside of that, they could be an acts of service kid. Preschool, elementary, are you helping with homework or projects? Do they like doing chores? Teens and tweens, it could be supporting their schedules, helping with their responsibilities, or small, thoughtful acts. Gifts, do they enjoy giving or receiving small tokens or treasures? In infants and toddlers, it could be like a comfort object if they're really attached to something, or like a small toy. Preschool, elementary age, it could be things that they find out on that nature walk, or if they're making homemade things and giving to you. Teens and tweens, it could be meaningful presents tied to their interest or to milestones. That may be how you know that your tween or teen loves receiving gifts. As kids grow, their love languages may shift. So you got to keep observing. Watch what they ask for most or respond to naturally. These are big clues about how they are experiencing love.
I love this. Just watching the faces, especially my grandchildren, some of these are spot on for them. This is cool. And being able to watch a child and see how they react to these things is such a loving thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's expand on this, though, because in addition to the classic 5, children also experience love through deeper, often quieter channels. And we talked about these last week. So number 1 is shared values and beliefs. Children feel secure and loved when they sense you share core values or family traditions. This might include celebrating holidays, practicing gratitude, or living by shared principles. One way that you can express this is talk about what matters to your family, involve your child in traditions and rituals, and encourage them to share what they care about. Model living your own values authentically, and then see how they respond. They're really into this. This might be something important for them, the shared values and beliefs. Number 2 is that emotional safety and vulnerability. More than just providing, children really do need to know that they can express fears, hopes, and struggles without judgment. So emotional safety is the foundation for trust and open communication. So how do we express this? Listen without rushing to fix things. Validate feelings with phrases like, it's okay to feel scared, or I'm here for you no matter what. Create routines like feelings check-ins, read books about emotions together, and acknowledge all feelings openly. By the way, shout out to all the authors that have created children's books about feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You guys rock. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for making this an important thing.
Kids believe other people. They don't necessarily believe what the parents are telling them. And it is so helpful when I can read. We did that this week. My 6-year-old went to a new camp. He had never done things like this. Finally, at 6, you're able to go and do the big kid stuff. He went by himself and it was new and it was different. And he was so scared. And right now I am brave. Remember in the book, when you can refer back to the book that somebody else wrote and they believe it to be true because they read it somewhere, that is such a great way to point your child back to the things that you would like them to know, but that they wouldn't believe coming out from you. So I second that, Nicole, for thank you for all those kids' books that I can point back to and be like, remember the Brave book? Yeah.
Thank you for helping us create the emotional safety and vulnerability.
Yeah.
That's amazing. The third one is intellectual connection, engaging a child's mind through curious conversations and exploring interests shows that you value their thoughts and ideas. So how do we express this? Ask open-ended questions, explore their hobbies, whether superheroes or science experiments, and invite them to teach you something they love. Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
That shows that their voice matters.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Kids often feel like they're just such a small part in the household. And just, I love this part.
Yes. And it does show me as we're going through these, we're all a part of all of these. It's just to what degree we're trying to figure out. Number 4, playfulness and fun. Do not leave out the playfulness and fun. Laughter, inside jokes, and shared play create joy and deep emotional bonds. How do we express those? Join their games. Do they love to play games? Be silly together. Tell jokes. Make up small, playful rituals. Anything that creates that space for fun and lighthearted connection. Mm-hmm. I went to breakfast this morning with my daughter-in-law because it was her birthday, and my son and the 2 kids. And we had the kids in the car on the way to breakfast, Tim and I. Quinny said something about, well, mom and dad will get quality time. And the 8-year-old Stella goes, no, they shouldn't have quality time. I said, well, why? She goes, it's unsanitary. I was like, is it the kissing? She goes, yes, it's unsanitary. I was like, you are witty. We laughed about that. That was a good one. That girl is always saying the funniest things. Number 5 is autonomy and respect for personal space. As children grow, they need room to explore their identity. Respecting independence is a profound way to show love. So how do you express that? Encourage age-appropriate decision-making. Respect privacy, like knocking before entering a room. And celebrate individuality by supporting self-expression and honoring what makes them unique.
Therapy time. I did not get this. I grew up in a bubble. And one of the things that I have had to work through as an adult is that I know why it was done. It was to keep me safe, and it did not serve me. I didn't know how to make a decision moving into adulthood. I was scared to do anything for fear that it would be the wrong thing. I did not get the age-appropriate decision-making. I did not get any respect of privacy. So I didn't get to celebrate any autonomy, and it was not good for me. And I suspect I'm not the only one out there. So I know it's scary as a parent. I'm going through it right now because you really want to direct your kids in a way that says, no, don't do that. And you got to let them do it. You got to let them be their own little people. And sometimes you got to close your eyes.
Let them make the safe mistakes.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me vent on that one.
Anytime.
So when we as parents become fluent in our child's unique love blueprint, including the expanded languages of shared values, emotional safety, intellectual connection, playfulness, and respect for autonomy, they bridge the gap between giving and feeling loved. So, to our listeners, if you can take a moment this week to notice your child's natural responses. What is it that brings them comfort? What is it that sparks their joy or excitement? And how do they show you love? These observations give you clues into their love language and help you meet them where they feel most seen and cherished.
It is a really good point, and this goes into what we're going to talk about now, which is the generational love differences. Example, we didn't say it, we showed it. A lot of us grew up hearing something like that. For many in older generations, love wasn't verbal. It was in packing your lunch, fixing the car, or working long hours to provide. Mm-hmm. Research in cultural psychology shows this wasn't random. Cultural norms often valued stoicism and self-reliance. So saying I love you out loud could feel unnecessary or even vulnerable. We give scientific credit for that one to Matsumoto and Zhuang 2016. Traditional gender roles reinforce this emotional restraint, especially for men, linking strength to not showing softness.
My dad is 76 years old. We were talking and he said, I can't even remember my father saying my name. Did not even say my name until I was going off to Vietnam. I was like, stop it. He was like, no, it was always like dumbass or like you. And I was like, oh my God. And the changes that man had to make for us, right? But that very specifically speaks to exactly what you just said. I mean, the dumbass part, that was awful. But that he wouldn't even acknowledge his name or that it was unnecessary in some thought process. I could not believe it. And when I just heard you say that, I went, oh, was that cultural?
Do you feel like that was I'm the man, therefore I don't have to have anything to do with the children and I can call them whatever the hell I want and I don't need to be involved in any parts of them. I don't even have to know their name.
So I think in that specific place and time in that family, yes. And every family was different, but in that family, very much so. I believe that, yes.
Oof, yeah. Jeez. Well, Luckily, younger generations, especially millennials and Gen Z, tend to prioritize emotional openness and verbal affirmation. That's where the disconnect often happens. A parent thinks, I show my love every day, while a child still longs to actually hear the words.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the good news. Studies suggest that when families recognize these differences, they stop interpreting silence as distance. Instead, they can see the care in action, providing, fixing, serving. And when both words and actions are valued, empathy grows across generation.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the prompt for all of you listening. This week, I want you to think of a parent, grandparent, or older relative. What's one way they showed you love through actions that you might not have noticed? Maybe it was keeping the fridge stocked, teaching you a skill, or driving you to every practice. Now I want you to flip it. What's one way you show love that might not land for someone younger?
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing these different dialects of love is the first step to bridging that gap.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad was very mechanical, and being raised by the man I just told you about, my dad wasn't like that at all. It was lots of I love yous, lots of that, but very much my car was always taken care of. The oil changes. He would make sure that the tires had air. I want you to be safe out on the road, and I don't have the vulnerability because it was never taught to me to tell you that. So this is how I'm going to show you that I care about you. And I didn't recognize that until 30. And to your point, letting the kids know now, well, I care that you have nutritious food inside of you. That's why I pack your lunch every day. And the child can go, oh, that is an act of love. And that they won't be 30 before they're like, my mom did love me.
Tim actually does all those things. He puts the air in the tires. He'll take the car and get gas. He'll do all these things. Now, if you guys have listened to this podcast, you know it's not because I can't. I mean, every power tool in this house is mine. I'm fully capable. I know how to change oil on one of those cars that you can actually change oil on. Maybe not the newfangled ones because they're like crazy inside. But he takes care of the car. He's very much an acts of service guy. So yeah, I can relate to that. And it's just a sign of love. It's not you don't know how to do it yourself. I think we have to be cautious of that sometimes too. Is it a sign of love? Not, you're too weak to do this, especially as a strong woman. You have to be careful of yourself saying, well, I can do that myself. Yeah, but let that person love you sometimes and see it for what it is.
I love that. Thank you for saying that. Let that person love you. It's not an insult.
Yeah. Yes. I've actually heard of people getting yelled at for opening doors. It was a man opening a door for a woman. What I laugh about is I'm a woman. I open doors for men. I've seen men open doors for other men. Like, we're all just trying to help each other through life here.
It's called polite and kind.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all.
Yes.
Bring it back.
Exactly.
Politeness and kindness. Okay, so you had multiple kids. I have multiple kids. Let's talk about sibling relationships. There are roles, expectations, and emotional needs. It's really, sibling bonds are some of the longest lasting and most emotionally complex relationships we have. I have a brother. From early childhood, siblings often fall into roles like the responsible caretaker, the peacekeeper, or the rebellious black sheep to keep the family balanced and meet parental expectations. Research shows these roles shape more than interactions. They actually influence identity and emotional health. So the helper sibling might suppress their own needs to keep the peace. And that's going to leave them feeling invisible. Those studies were done, McCall et al., 2012. The black sheep may act out to gain attention or acceptance, even while masking a deeper desire for understanding. So if these patterns aren't addressed, they can create long-term misunderstandings or emotional distance. What's the good news, though? Awareness and intentional conversations can help siblings break free from old roles and build authentic, supportive connections. Effective sibling communication, acknowledging needs and practicing empathy, links to better well-being and stronger social support throughout life. That's Easton Rock, 1992.
The information is out there. We're just bringing it to you.
Now, what do I do with it? Well, that's what we're here for.
Yes, that is a great question. So first thing is recognizing your siblings' love language. Think about your siblings. How do they show care differently than you? Noticing their patterns can strengthen your relationship. Look for the classic love languages, acts of service. Does your sibling help with chores, running errands, or supporting you when stressed? Words of encouragement. Maybe they send you texts, offer you encouragement, or saying, I'm proud of you. Quality time. They like one-on-one hangouts. They like walks. They like deep conversations. Physical touch, hugs, high fives, sitting close while chatting. Receiving gifts, thoughtful presents or little gestures that show they're thinking of you. And then we cannot forget the expanded love languages. Shared values and beliefs, connecting over family traditions, causes, or personal principles. Emotional safety and vulnerability, creating space to share fears or worries without judgment. I would like a sibling like that. That is not my bro.
More as an adult, definitely not when we were children. My kids were just asking what me and my brother were like as kids. I was like, oh my God, he was the worst. My bratty little brother, and he probably wasn't a brat. I was probably the brat, but he was just always around and fighting. And that didn't exist when we were young. It kind of exists now after everybody's been through some life. We're kind of getting there and I really enjoy it, but I'm not trying to push it because I'm like, oh, don't jinx it.
You can push it in a direction that they're not comfortable in when you talk about the love languages. So the next one, intellectual connection, enjoying debates, sharing insights, or learning together. That's such a big one for me. Playfulness and fun, making you laugh, sharing inside jokes, or inventing silly games. Autonomy and respect for personal space, honoring your privacy, independence, and boundaries.
Try to connect all of this to my kids, and little things are popping up just kind of everywhere. You said it earlier, noticing their patterns. And that's, I think, a learned behavior. I saw that before. What do I do with it? I'm saying that all the time because we obviously as coaches recognize that when you can see patterns early, you get to do something about it. I'm like, have you noticed that? Like, no. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to keep pointing it out. I think that's so necessary. And obviously they're going to need your help. Again, not fully developed brain.
Yes.
I love this. Oh my gosh. Okay. Listeners, pick one sibling, observe, just watch. Notice the ways they consistently show love, even small little subtle gestures. If you remember our conflict series, the Gottmans call it turning toward. How is somebody trying to do the thing? And then we want you to reflect. How could you respond in a way that aligns with their love language, even if it's different from yours? This is going to make me reach out to my brother. Even small efforts like joining a playful moment, acknowledging their interests, or respecting their need for space can deepen your connection, reduce misunderstandings, and help you move beyond old roles. We often get stuck in those old roles. The family unit is the hardest to get out of a role because you fall right back into that space. I find myself acting like a teenager sometimes with my dad, and I'm like, adult here, what's happening? Or even with my brother, the annoyance. And I'm like, no, we're not little anymore. It's those old spaces that we get stuck in. So I love what we're talking about here. By watching and knowing that you're a new person because your brain rewired, you get to help yourself move beyond those and maybe deepen a connection.
And you're not the only one who's a new person. So are they. Yeah. Discover how that has changed because these things do evolve over time. And as people sometimes uncover some of the languages that they didn't know they actually had, then they want that to be seen. Yeah. So looking is so important. Kids, siblings, and now we're going to talk about friendships. Yeah. Because friendships are the chosen family. Yep. We want to talk about that intentional love and care. For many of us, friendships do become a family.
Yep.
And especially when the biological family relationships are complicated or distant. So these voluntary bonds carry real emotional weight. And just like family, they need care, attention, and emotional effort to fully thrive. Social neuroscience research shows that quality friendship actually activate the brain's reward centers, reducing stress and boosting emotional resilience. But friendships don't maintain themselves. They need attuned communication. Such a good word. Different friends feel loved in different ways through their unique love languages. One friend might value quality time, shared activities, or uninterrupted hangouts. Another might connect through words of affirmation, like encouragement or praise. Some bond over emotional vulnerability, while others feel cared for through physical touch, like a hug or a pat on the back. And if we include the expanded love languages, friends may also respond to playfulness and fun, intellectual connection, shared values, emotional safety, or respect for autonomy. Long-term studies show that friends who regularly offer acts of service, emotional support, and consistent positive reinforcement. Now, I will tell you, if you're my friend, I do need words of affirmation as well.
Well, and everybody who just heard this, because I was doing it, you were listing off the love languages, and a new person popped into my brain that's in my life that one person really likes this, and I really like this from specific people. Like different friends
Yes.
hold different places and parts in our lives, and the stuff I do with some people are not the things that I do with other people.
Yeah.
And so it's really necessary to understand that unique connection that you specifically have with those people, because they might have relationships that differ from yours with other people. And that's cool too, because we're all just trying to fill our cup here.
Yes, it's so true. And someone might say, I feel like you're putting people in boxes. But I want to really clarify that all we're doing is giving you a lens to see people through so that you can then feed that energy. So I want you to think of it more as a lens than a box.
Have you ever had that friend that you're like, this is what I do with that friend? Then something comes up in that hangout time and you're like, oh, can I do that with you too? Like I can be here and we can go do this and you can have this place in my life too. You're like, oh, the lens just broadened. That happens.
Yes.
I didn't know you could be
Yes.
that part of my life too. I think that's a very cool thing.
Yeah, because instead of saying, okay, I see you as this friend that goes and does this with me, you realize that people are dynamic and their love blueprints are long and expanded, and they may fill other parts for you as well, but you have to explore that. Think of this as opening up the box, unpacking the box. So understanding and speaking your friends' love languages strengthens bonds, it deepens connection, and it makes friendships more resilient, even through life's inevitable changes.
I love those friendships that have lasted all of it. Sometimes it's a very natural thing, and sometimes it's a very intentional thing. Either way, we're going to talk to you about how you recognize your friend's love language. We're going to start by noticing how they naturally show us care or show people care in general. Quality time might look like, do they plan activities or do they reach out to you and make time to hang out? Are they the ones suggesting the time together? Words of affirmation, do they send encouraging messages or praise your efforts? Like, hey, you're going to kill it on that presentation on Friday. I'm really excited for you. Let me know how it goes. You're going to crush it. You're awesome. Like, yeah. Receiving gifts. Do they surprise you with thoughtful tokens or gestures? Like, oh, I went on my vacation. I saw this thing. Here's a sticker because I thought of you. Like, okay. Acts of service. Do they help you when you're stressed out or step in with favors? That's a very cool thing. Or physical touch. Do they like hugs, high fives, or sitting very close while chatting? And of course, we have to consider the expanded love languages. So intellectual connection. Do they spark your mind with deep conversations? This is one of my favorite things. My favorite people I can have solid intellectual connections with. Playfulness and fun. Do they make you laugh? Do they play? Are they always kind of like joking around? Shared values. Do they model values or involve you in meaningful rituals? That's a way to tell. Emotional safety. Do they create space for your vulnerability? That's something very interesting to look out for. And do you feel safe in that with them? Autonomy. Do they respect your independence and your personal boundaries? So we're looking at those folks to say, oh, that's how they give it. That's more than likely how they want to receive it.
And for me, somebody who's well-rounded in all of these areas, this is like ideal. Intellectual connection, shared values, emotional safety, respect for boundaries. I feel like that is why you and I do this podcast together.
Yeah. Yeah. I know our listeners have heard it before. We called each other up. Well, Nicole called me up. She was like, listen, I want to do a podcast. I was like, I want to do a podcast too. She's like, I don't want to do it by myself. I said, me either. She's like, you're the only one I could do it with. I said, I feel the same way.
I was like, there is no plan B.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Exercise. Pick one friend and observe how they show care over the next week. I know this is going to be easy for all of you because I was writing down names with some of these.
Yeah.
Notice the patterns and think about how you can respond in ways that match their love language, even if it differs from yours. These small, intentional gestures can make a big difference in building trust, connection, and lasting emotional resilience. I love that.
This is why our circles get smaller as we get older. Remember when you were a kid and you're like, everybody who goes to my school is my friend.
Yes.
And you get older and you're like,
Yeah.
I know them, but I'm not going to call them a friend.
The acquaintance crowd gets big and
Yes.
the friend crowd gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about boundaries and autonomy. This is the foundation of healthy love. So love in family and friendships, it's not about losing yourself. It's not about giving up your voice or becoming completely wrapped up in someone else's identity. Healthy relationships strike a balance between closeness and independence, connection and autonomy. Psychological research consistently shows that boundaries, which are clear limits around what feels comfortable, acceptable, and respectful, are essential for emotional well-being and relationship satisfaction. Without them, people risk burnout, resentment, or losing their sense of self. Boundaries, go back to our boundaries podcast, create a safe space where each person can be their authentic self without fear of judgment or pressure. Honoring autonomy means valuing individuality, accepting differences, and resisting the urge to fix, control, or change each other. This environment encourages vulnerability and trust, and that is the soil in which love grows deep and resilient.
It's funny. I've had some relationships where I go, I couldn't actually stay in the relationship because of either my boundaries or their boundaries. And that was okay.
Yeah.
That's why that group gets smaller and smaller, because you get clearer and clearer on what's okay with you, and they get clearer and clearer what's okay with them. Nothing wrong with that. So how do the 10 love languages intersect with boundaries and autonomy? Understanding, respecting each person's unique blend of love languages plays a key role in establishing and honoring boundaries. So words of affirmation, verbal expressions of love are powerful only when they're genuine and respectful of personal limits. Overloading someone with praise or unsolicited advice can feel intrusive.
Love bombing.
Yes. Clear communication about when and how affirmations are accepted, appreciated, given, honors autonomy and prevents emotional overwhelm. That was Burlinson and Denton, 1997.
Oh, I have a comment on this because I have
Yes.
an example about this. Now, I like words of affirmation. I like to hear that I'm awesome. I was on a real estate team. I had worked for myself before that. I was very successful on my own. You copy your team on everything that's going on. And the self-assumed team lead would respond to an email and be like, that was a great email. And I'd be like, don't patronize me. I've worked for myself for how long? I don't need that. So that's when words of affirmation feels patronizing at this point. I felt like you were going, that was such a big girl thing that you did. Shut, come on, man. I don't need this team. I'm on this team because it's supposed to serve my business, but don't do me like that. So there's that fine line where, yeah, you can tell me I'm awesome in general, but don't be like, oh, that was such a nice, I know how to put words together. Okay.
Felt a little inauthentic.
Yeah.
I actually had a relationship recently with a friend blow up, and it was because unsolicited advice should have been her first name. And she actually said, you talked about something and then we talked about it. And I was like, we didn't talk about it. You just gave me unsolicited advice for 15 minutes. Yeah. Nobody wants your unsolicited advice. If you need to be heard, quality time is okay. Ask to be heard, but talk about yourself, not what you want to fix in everybody else. Quality time. So focused time together strengthens bonds, but it's important to respect when someone needs space or downtime. Quality time should feel mutually desired, not obligatory. Allowing for personal rhythms honors independence while still fostering connection. This is Rice and Patrick, 1996. so important.
Yes.
So important. I just spent a lot of time with family, and one of my favorite people in this group, I said, oh, well, we should do the dinner because blah, blah, blah. And she looked at me and said, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And I went, I love this woman. I need to learn from this. She's like, you have no obligation. You do what you want to do and what works for you. Because when she needs space, she takes it. I'm like, oh, such a great lesson.
That is so important. This is actually a big reason why I'm not closer with more people, because I got to do my own thing. And if I feel like that person needs too much of me, I can't commit. And I find myself going, we can't do this because I can't respond the way you want me to respond. And I'm a quality time girl. I love that one-on-one, but I also like to be by myself. So if your want for quality time impedes on my desire to not answer you, then it's not going to work.
Like, my biggest nightmare is I'll be watching a TV show and these women are talking about how they talk 7 times a day. And I'm like, holy crapola. I'm lucky if I talk to my friends once every 2 weeks. That's a lot for me. I don't have time for that.
But you know what? Know yourself. If you are like Nicole and I, where we're like, quiet sounds good. Or if you're like those women that really want to be involved all the time, cool. Do you. But also know thyself. Right? Just like your favorite person in that group, don't do shit you don't want to do.
There you go. Exactly. So receiving gifts, thoughtful gifts show care, but if given without consent or need, they can feel burdensome. Mm-hmm. Respecting boundaries means making sure gifts are welcomed and meaningful to the recipient. If anybody doesn't understand what this means, just look up the Big Bang Theory episode called Gifts, because Sheldon will explain it to you. The obligation.
Yes. Oh,
all right. Acts of service. Helping someone can be loving, yet unwanted help can feel controlling or dismissive. Mm-hmm. Effective acts of service comes from asking, listening, and respecting preferences and limits. Yeah, I just talked about that. I know when my husband is fixing my car or taking care of my car, or making sure I have new tires, he's showing me an act of service. I'm not choosing to take that as you're controlling me. So yeah, understand that it can push the boundary. Physical touch, hugs, hand-holding, or comforting pat can communicate warmth, but consent and comfort are essential. Consent and comfort, consent and comfort, consent and comfort, essential.
In all relationships, by the way.
All relationships. Boundaries around touch ensure safety and respect personal space. This is so important. Yeah, I have granddaughters. I have a husband. He will not hug them unless they want to be hugged. And that is just the rule. He will ask. And if they don't want to, they know they're allowed to say no. And they know they're allowed to say no. Yeah, let's be clear on physical touch.
Well, necessary. But here's where we are, okay? Consent needs to also be enthusiastic. So it's not, yes. Mm-hmm, it's, yeah. And that, I think, is the most important element missing in this. If somebody feels obliged to hug you because you're a grandparent or because you were raised that way, if there's no enthusiastic consent behind it, still don't do it. That's where we, as the person asking, needs to be aware. It's not just yes, because yes can be like yes, and yes can be like yes. Has to be understood. So you have to look a little bit beyond, and that is so important.
Yeah. And I know we're harping on that, but I think we deserve a little harping on that after many years of women and young girls having to deal with this stuff.
Moving right along, those shared values and beliefs, shared principles bring people together, but healthy love respects differences. Honoring diverse worldviews allows space for personal growth and authentic connection. And Schwartz et al. 2012 helped us.
Can we just say that that is the most important message in this entire podcast in today's world?
Today's world.
Please, please.
Nicole and I talk about that with us all the time. We have healthy love because we respect each other's differences. We understand between the two of us, hey, I like you because you're you. You may think some different things, but I've seen you act. I know you and you're a good person. And I
Yes.
love those pieces of you. We can disagree on some other things, but that doesn't change the core of who you are. I can understand that you have values and beliefs that maybe I don't share, but that doesn't mean I can't respect what those are for you and vice versa. And that's one of the things that Nicole and I love about each other, I think.
Yeah. And I would even say we share a lot of values. And I think you share a lot of values with people who have different views.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop focusing on the differing views and focus on the values, and you'll find them.
No, I just got chicken skin down both of my legs, so that means it's true. Okay, emotional safety and vulnerability. Creating safe spaces to express fears, hopes, and imperfections even means respecting what someone is ready to share. Pressuring vulnerability too soon undermines trust and autonomy. That's from Brown, 2012. And I can say that I've been there before. Maybe one day I'll share with you, but right now I'm not ready. But you going, tell me, I know there's something. I just want to know. That actually makes me think you're not on my team. That makes me think you want to know information to go give information. And that's not safety. And I don't want to be vulnerable in those moments. You have to let it be an authentic share. Safe spaces. Intellectual connection. Engaging in thoughtful conversations is meaningful, but boundaries matter when topics feel overwhelming. Respecting intellectual autonomy means honoring when someone needs mental rest or a different style of engagement. This is so important. When you see somebody getting uncomfortable about the thing that you're talking about, if you continue to pressure that conversation, we're gone.
Yeah.
And often people don't, maybe women don't feel comfortable going, you know what, I don't want to talk about this. So sometimes we find ourselves doing things that we really, in fact, don't want to. So please respect the intellectual autonomy. You got to look beyond. That's what these additional love languages are. It's a look beyond in what we're seeing with our friends.
Yes, very true. And things can get overwhelming, and respecting overwhelm for somebody else is important. Sometimes my menopause brain just shuts down. It's like, I'm done. I can't think anymore.
It's okay to read the room. It's okay to be like, oh, I can see that this is really sensitive. We don't have to talk about it right now, or whenever you're ready. Can I tell you how huge that is? That creates so much emotional safety and vulnerability. It's really a big deal for me that somebody could notice that, because sometimes I do feel like, oh, maybe I do need to get it out because it'd be weird or rude to change it. Okay, playfulness and fun. Laughter and shared play are important, but it's crucial to recognize individual comfort zones around humor, teasing, or risk-taking. Pushing too far can feel unsafe or disrespectful. I am a sarcastic girl sometimes, and I tell you, some people don't receive it well. And I've heard all kinds of things like, sarcasm is just the mass truth. And I'm like, okay, I thought I had that relationship with you. I clearly did not. My bad. Sorry. I didn't mean it, and I'm really authentically apologizing here. I had to do that. I think we've all had to do that at some point. You called it your menopause. Sometimes I just didn't read the room well. And okay, I'm going to own that, and hopefully we can move on from it. And now I just learned something about our relationship. So cool. We can still have a relationship. I just need to know that there are boundaries there.
Well, I'm married to a man that playfulness and fun is like life. It's literally his main value is to have fun. And we've had to rein in a few things that weren't fun for all of the people in the communication. I was like, okay, and he's learned and he's gotten so much better with it. But again, learning and being better. When we know better, we do better. And reading the room. I love that you keep saying that, because that's like our, didn't read the room.
Yeah. And that's okay, because sometimes we walk in the room with a different energy than the room had when we got there. You're like, oh, took me a minute. Sorry. All right. The last one is autonomy and respect for personal space. So this love language emphasizes independence, privacy, and self-expression. Honoring it means supporting choices, encouraging self-discovery, and giving space to breathe emotionally and physically. Desi and Ryan, 2000. I love this.
Yes.
I really love this. Not that I'm going to judge you because you did the thing different than I would have done, but oh, wow, how did it feel to figure that out? And not in a shitty kind of way, but like, are you okay? I'm here. One of my very best friends, this was so long ago, called me in the middle of the night. I'm done. He's not here. I'm moving out. I need your help. I go, let's go. Get in the car. It's like midnight. I'm driving out to her place. She moves out. 2 weeks later, she moves back in. Now, I wasn't shit talking him. You can't shit talk, because if they do end up getting back together, then that's on your record. You can't do that. But here I am going, all right, if this is what you want, and I will show up time and time again for you to move out, and I will show up to move you back in if that's what it is for you. Okay? That's what we're talking about.
I might be a little judgy.
I mean, at a certain point, it does be, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. So let's talk about some scientific insights on boundaries and autonomy in relationships. Self-determination theory highlights autonomy as a core psychological need essential for healthy relationships and motivation. When autonomy is supported, people experience greater satisfaction, well-being, and deeper relationship bonds. Conversely, relationships without respect for boundaries can lead to enmeshment. It's a great word. It's not a good thing, where individuals lose their sense of self, resulting in conflict and emotional distress.
I was enmeshed.
Yeah, enmeshment is not good. In both family and friendships, practicing boundaries around love languages creates a framework where connection and individuality coexist. It allows love to feel nourishing rather than controlling or overwhelming. Yeah.
That is a great word, not a great thing.
I know. Enmeshment. It sounds like really good chocolate mixed with something else. It's not. We enmeshed it all together. But enmeshment is not good. You don't want to be.
Don't do it. Don't go there. Okay. My favorite part is putting it into practice. To weave healthy boundaries and autonomy into your relationships, we got to do a few things. Check in regularly about comfort levels and preferences. Remember that love languages aren't static. Wait, does that mean I have to be vulnerable? Yes, it means you have to be vulnerable. It means checking in to see if you're doing it right. That means that you're leaving yourself open that maybe somebody says you aren't doing it right. And that's okay, because the checking in part gives you the opportunity to learn how to do it better. Okay, practice explicit consent. We cannot harp on this enough, especially with physical touch and acts of service. Don't over insert yourself into somebody's life.
Especially with children.
Oh gosh, like so many of those years are the independent years. I can do it myself. No, Mom, I do it myself. Mom, I do it myself. Okay, do it yourself. We'll just sit here for the next hour and a half while you figure it out.
Or I'm going to have to clean up all the stuff that makes such a mess.
Let them do it. Okay. We also need to balance togetherness with time apart. So necessary. We also need to accept differences in love expression without pressure to change. Let them be them. Let them let you be you. We all appreciate that. And we also want to communicate openly about our limits and needs with curiosity and kindness. It's okay to say, hey, I don't really want to talk 7 times a day. I love you so much, and I will love you more if we just talk once.
A week.
It's okay. I think a really great question, you guys know I'm all up in the Gottmans, is why is this so important to you? If you can ask that question and understand with empathy where that person is coming from, maybe that puts you in a new place and you can really go where it needs to go. But that's a collaborative relationship. It's not one-sided, and it just feels better. I'm trying to understand because I really like you and I don't like how this thing is going. Can we figure it out? Yeah. Why is this so important to you is really great question.
I might make one little tweak and just say, share with me why this is so important to you.
Yeah. Oh, so it doesn't sound judgy.
Yeah.
Can you help me understand is a great one. So by integrating these boundaries and autonomy with the way we express and receive love, we create relationships that are not only deeply loving, but sustainable and empowering.
All right, friends, let's bring all of this into real life. Boundaries, autonomy, and love languages aren't just ideas. They're practices you can try this week, today, right now, to strengthen your connection with family, friends, and kids. The great news, you don't have to do everything perfectly. Small, intentional steps are what create real change. So let's break it down into practical, doable actions. Step 1, check in with yourself. Take a moment and notice which ways of giving and receiving love feel natural and which might feel overwhelming. Maybe quality time energizes you, but too much verbal affirmation feels like pressure. Or maybe acts of service lights you up, but constant physical touch stresses you out. Understanding your own preferences is the first step in communicating clearly with others. Pause and ask yourself, which of the 10 love languages, words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch, shared values, emotional safety, intellectual connection, playfulness, or autonomy make me feel most seen, and which feel overwhelming?
Step 2, pause before you act. Before showing love, whether it's a hug, a favor, a compliment, or spending time, ask yourself, will this feel good for them right now? Maybe your sibling loves acts of service, but today they need emotional safety, a space to share feelings without your advice. Pausing shows you care about their experience, not just your intention. Most of us listen to respond. We're asking you here to pause. It shows them that you care about their experience. Step 3, set and communicate boundaries. Boundaries are how we balance closeness with autonomy. Couple of examples. I love spending quality time together, but I need 30 minutes of alone time first. You start with a positive, let them know the need. I really appreciate words of affirmation, but I prefer if compliments aren't given in front of others. Some people don't like the attention. I enjoy helping with acts of service, but please let me know when you want to do it yourself. Being clear like this, Nicole, clarity is power, helps others show love in ways that actually resonate with them. So, identify one boundary you could gently communicate this week. How would you say it clearly and kindly? And practice, say it out loud. So the first time it comes out, you're not hearing it yourself for the first time. Say it and practice that so it doesn't feel weird.
So good. Step 4, ask directly about their love languages.
Oh, just ask?
Yeah, just ask. Now, don't ask what their love language is because they might look at you like you're crazy. How do you feel most loved? Maybe your child thrives on playfulness or your parent cherishes shared values. Listening carefully and honoring their answer is one of the simplest ways to deepen connection. Who in your life would benefit if you asked how they feel most loved and which love language might be their strongest? Step 5, balance togetherness and independence. Plan one activity together, like a walk, quality time, cooking a meal, acts of service, or reading a book, intellectual connection. Then plan one that honors personal space, journaling, autonomy, a solo hobby, or quiet downtime. Notice how both experiences feel and how they affect your connection. Reflect, am I creating space for others to express love in their preferred language while honoring their independence?
That seems hard when you have kids. It does. And my personal experience tells us that it's absolutely necessary. Okay, step 6, notice emotional safety and vulnerability. Whether it's your child, sibling, or friend, creating a safe space for emotions is critical. Encourage expression, validate feelings, and allow room for mistakes. This is especially important for those whose primary love language is emotional safety. It really shows them that they're truly seen, heard, and valued. You can ask yourself, when was the last time I validated somebody's feelings without trying to fix them? I might add, without getting defensive. Yeah, their feelings aren't necessarily about you. Okay. Include playfulness and joy. Even in grown-up relationships, fun strengthens bonds. Share jokes, silly games, lighthearted moments. Notice if your friend or child or sibling responds best to playfulness or maybe physical touch, like high fives, hugs. Maybe you plan one playful interaction this week.
When we honor both connection and individuality using these 10 love languages as a guide, we create relationships that are safe, nurturing, and sustainable, where everyone feels seen, supported, and free to be themselves. So this week, try it out. Observe, ask, honor, and notice the difference it makes when love is expressed in ways that truly resonate with the people you care about. I think we should go into some takeaways.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Why didn't they teach this kind of stuff in school? Honestly, this is necessary for literally every relationship in your entire life. We didn't really get into like coworkers, but all of these things matter in an appropriate space. And those 5 love languages, Gary Chapman so brilliantly laid it out in the way that we're like, oh, yeah, those. And then the additional 5 really drives it home for me that within the spaces of the first 5, there's those little things inside of it that really puts it in a place or not. And I think that it's so necessary that we notice these things and just everything we were talking about today. In noticing is the act of love. I notice this. Hey, I'm going to do this different. The awareness and then the noticing. I feel loved and seen when something unspoken is noticed and it's real and true. Being able to identify these in the people that we love will serve the relationship. The science says it. That's my takeaway. It's been studied. The education is out there. What are we going to do with it?
That is so true. If you've been listening to our podcast, you know by now that clarity is power is one of my favorite sayings ever. This helps in the clarity of your communication, of how you show up for those you love, about every relationship that matters to you in your life. And yes, we focused on yourself. We focused last week on relationships. We focused this week more on family, siblings, children, friends, every relationship that exists in our world. And relationships really are, for me, some of the most important things as we go through life. It's relationships and realizing that there are people who come from a different space. Having this knowledge helps me love them better. That is really powerful. That is the clarity that gives me the power to love. I think that's beautiful. I also think how many times, and I would say men and women, do we put aside our needs for our roles? And our love languages are needs. We need to be loved. We need to have connection. And this is so important. I love this conversation.
Me too.
I've always loved love languages, and I love it even more now. It's all about the love.
I'm constantly reminded of the idea that what we received growing up is not our fault. Yet now that we know the information that we know, it is our responsibility to do something about it. You are not required to pass on the crap that was given to you to the people you love. Now that you know, do something about it. All right, shall we do questions?
Yes.
This one came to me because I've not been sleeping well lately. So I want to know, Nicole, what wakes you up in the middle of the night?
Oh, well, panic attacks once in a while. I was having this conversation with my sister-in-law when I was just on vacation. And it's like everything in the middle of the night is so much more everything bad than when you wake up and see the sun shining. And then you're like, oh, why was I worried about that? We were talking about like stupid things that were keeping us up at night. It can be the dumbest things. I have woken up out of a dead sleep creating these natural disasters in my own head. It's crazy. I don't watch scary movies because they would keep me up at night, but I am a disaster movie person. Maybe that's why those things, I will wake up in the middle of the night just like coming up with disaster ideas. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? And it's always the weird stuff. It's never like what would actually or really happen. So it depends on what's stressing me out in the moment. But I do have to say lately, I've been sleeping pretty well. And when I wake up, I'm not stressed out. So I haven't been having that happen, but it's not the monsters in the closet because the closet's always closed. So the monsters can't get out.
Okay. Because the monsters wouldn't figure out how to, no,
monsters can't open
don't put
doors.
that there. Monsters can't open. I'm going to tell my kids that. I'm going to say, Auntie Nicole said the monsters can't open the doors.
No, as long as the closet door is shut, you're safe.
Until they're under the bed, you know?
No, they don't get under the bed. They only hang out in the closet. This is my adult irrational fear. I've told you this before. I'll say to my husband, the closet's cracked. And he's like, the monstrous. I'm like, yes. And he'll shut the closet.
I love
You don't go to bed with the closet door open. No.
I love it.
That would keep me awake.
Okay. Legit. Gotcha.
All right. Your question is, what's the most stress relieving thing you can get or do for less than $20?
Oh, yeah, it's free. Breath is like really a great thing. I was a person, one of my many past lives, that would forget to breathe. And one of my best friends, the one that I helped move out, she would be like, Jen, breathe. Like it was her job to remind me to like take a breath, because I would get so like for whatever, not even big deal things. I would just get overwhelmed or anxious or frozen. And she'd be like, Jen, just breathe. Later on in life, as I started to meditate and as I started to really understand myself more, it always came back to really the only thing we are required to do is breathe in those moments. And we forget that we always have 60 seconds. We get so caught up in this life that's like, gotta go, gotta do, gotta respond, da, 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 da. And if we would just take a step back and do a little box breathing or do a little infinity breath there, the only thing we're required to do in this moment is breathe. Somebody can wait 60 seconds for you if that's what you need. So my answer to you is breathe and figure out what the next thing is from there. And if you're doing it the right way, it really does kind of reset that space and time. And so free. Also, a journal. Nicole has a journal out there on Amazon. Journaling is a really great way to get it out of your head. Journals are usually less than $20.
True.
I find that when we are attempting to soothe ourselves, we think we have to go and get, when really the time and space inside of ourselves, whether it's with breath or with journaling or meditating, taking 10 minutes, that would be it. You don't need much. You need to breathe. That's my answer.
So when I wake up in the middle of the night because the world's falling apart, I just should breathe. That actually makes sense.
Yes.
I usually try to do that. Breathing calms you down.
You know what I told my 6-year-old last night, because he was up 4 or 5 times, well after bedtime. And one of those times was, my brain keeps telling me there's a bear under my bed. Okay. Do you believe that there's a bear under your bed? Well, I don't, but my brain keeps telling me that. Okay. So I just introduced the 99 bottles of juice on the wall to my children.
That's awesome. 99 bottles of juice on the wall. That's hilarious. I'm sharing that.
Really,
one.
the thought behind it is, if you keep your brain busy with something as systematic as 99, 98, 97, it's also the monotonous 99 bottles of juice on the wall. And when your brain is busy going, what's the number behind it? It's the same reason when you're getting anesthesia, they go count backwards from 10 or count backwards from 100. When you're doing that, you're not doing anything else. You're breathing and you're counting backwards. And so, yes, breathe and maybe 99 bottles of juice, Nicole. You can't do much else when you're like, how many bottles of juice am I on?
I might go with the original version, but we're not going to talk about that.
I almost slipped up a couple of times and I'm like, no, it's 77 bottles of juice. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway,
awesome.
It keeps your brain busy.
I've never heard that. That's brilliant.
I
love
there
that.
You go. Well, to everybody, thank you so much for joining us in this final episode of our 3-part Love Languages series. We hope you've gained new insights into how you show love, how others around you express it, and how to meet each other in the middle. If someone you know could benefit from these ideas, share the podcast with them. And until next time, keep practicing connection, curiosity, and kindness, and keep living your best life.
Bye.
Bye.
Write your lines with passion, let your spirit freely roam. The lessons of your journey